So, we've kind of touched on this as far as the results that you've seen with the product, but any other highlights that you can think of as far as specifics?
I would say also using this product during aeration. I've never dealt with bent grass, so I can't really speak to it, but I mean, grass is grass, and every grass needs roots. But I know from my experience with the ultra dwarfs, the week prior to aerification, we'll go out at the 14-ounce rate, and then once we have core aerified, removed all the material, and incorporated the coarser sand for that pore space, I'll come back with another 14-ounce per thousand application. And recovery time, since I've used this product, and like I said, over 20 years, maybe back then I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but lately when we aerify, it is amazing the recovery time. When I came to Daniel Island, long story short, there was one of the golf courses, the greens were in really bad shape. So we did a double drill and fill, a double 5/8 core. We tractor verticutted them. We just beat the ever living what's out of them. And prior to that, I mean, some people said there's no way it's going to take 2 months to recover. And prior to that, we did the 14-ounce of the Holganix, and I just put a half a pound of a hot fertilizer, and that was it. And then did the same thing a week and a half later, and within 3 weeks, you didn't even know we did anything. Mm-hmm. And it was amazing what we did to those greens. Now, if we had some other challenges with those that were subsurface, but the grass really recovered. It was very impressive. I would highly recommend any aeration that you do is apply before and after. And I can speak from my experience that recovery time is pretty rapid. And so I was really impressed with that.
And you've worked with a few different soil types as well, right?
I've worked with push-up, I've worked with California style, and I've worked with USGA, whether they're 1 year old or 23 years old. So, it's even the challenges that we had that eventually made us decide to do the 36-hole renovation this year. We had pretty good turf, but our problems were subsurface with drainage, which that's a whole nother story. But, it's amazing. I had the same program. The same program I'm doing right now is the same program that I've done since I've been here. And the root structure, although it's much better, even in the poor conditions that I was trying to grow grass in, I still had good 5-6 inch roots. But there was some challenges, but it's pretty similar.
What percentage of your budget typically goes to the greens versus the rest of the course?
Oh, that's a good question. You put me on the spot. I would say
you're the director. You have to know this.
Yeah, I know. When it comes to Fert and Kim, I would say it's somewhere around, because we do have 36 holes and 42 greens to maintain. I would say 40-60, 40% greens, 60%. As far as cost,
yep.
Cost would be maybe even 50.
Just product cost you're talking about.
Yeah, product cost. Because we have other areas, we have grounds and landscape and so forth and so on. So that kind of fudges the number a little bit. Yep. But of course, greens are the most important asset of any golf course.
Yep. I've seen budgets where 85% of the cost was going to the greens. And
that's a little high for me. That's a little high.
What I noticed was after they started using Bio 800, that evened out a lot more because I think that they were just throwing so much at the greens to keep that performance there that the greens were almost working against them. And, I always say that, like, when it comes to golf, we're doing a lot of torture to the turf to get it to do what we want it to do, because it's just like cutting it that short is, it can add stress. The amount of, just play, wear and tear that's on it, people going in the exact same areas all the time.
Mhm.
It's like golf cart paths are like either your dream or your nightmare sometimes, because of the way people use them. But I think that that's one of the things that if you don't have the soil and the root system working for you, then your budget can really go out of whack.
It
Um,
can, and to add to that, I mean, we're, especially with all these new greens that we're going to have. I mean, what we're seeing is since we have such a strong root system, we're actually changing our fertility program a little bit. Do we really need to put all this nitrogen in? I mean, like I said, we have high expectations here, although we do on average 70,000 rounds, and every whether they're a poor golfer or a good golfer wants good, firm, fast conditions, and we can provide that with a strong root system. We mow our greens at 100, try to keep our speeds anywhere from 11 and a half to anywhere from 11 to 12. Maintenance practices, verticutting, ultra grooming, rolling, all those things, top dressing. But what we're also saying is we're not having to put as much nitrogen, and the turf is staying healthy on top, but then the roots are just growing through the roof. I mean, every day that our guy goes up to the putting green that we did last year and changes the cups, I'm up there every single time, and every time he pulls it out, I got roots dangling out of the bottom of the cup cutter.
mhm.
So that tells me that since it is a strong foundation, at times maybe I can push the limits a little bit for tournaments and so forth and so on. And you don't know what you can do until you try. And then if you take it too far, well, then you just pump the brakes. But you got to at least try and see what you can do.
Yeah, and I think that I've been really, it's been interesting to see how different superintendents have used the product in the past. When you just think about like some of the outlying problems that you face, I had mentioned cart paths, and they had a superintendent that was dealing with erosion issues from the wear and tear at the beginning of cart paths or in certain spots, and it was because the turf gets worn out. You have dirt that's exposed, and then you're going to have ruts. Then you got that's just an evolving problem. And so they started treating with the Bio 800 in those areas where they typically wouldn't be focused on the turf until there was no turf and they had a problem.
Uh-huh.
So even if it was just like heavy wear areas, you use it there to make the turf more resilient so that you don't deal with those problems. And it's not like taking care of the greens. It's, hey, we got to do that treatment 2-3 times a year, not once a month, not every 2 weeks, just to give that benefit so that it's not unsightly and it doesn't cause a problem down the road. And that's just a lot of times you don't think about that in the budget until we gotta re-excavate this and resod it, and it becomes a project rather than a 5-minute spray job.
I totally agree. I mean, I wouldn't question that one bit.
So any other thoughts kind of in closing before we move into the Q&A session?
No, I mean, I think I've touched on several things. I mean, like I said, I can speak from my experience using, all three ultra dwarfs. I don't have that much experience with the bent grass, but and the different types of soils that I've had to deal with, and the results I've seen since the beginning. This is one product that I think jokingly when we were talking yesterday, y'all better never stop making it. So, yeah, You know, I really, it's one of my number one products, top 3 products that I like to use.
Well, I'll have to wait for you to retire before I can retire. I'll let my wife know.
Yes, exactly.